This is Wiswomen. I'm Jodie Arnold. Today on the show, I'm joined with Erin Klaus and Jamie Kaiser, who are co-owners of Tangled Up in Hue, Blue Boxer Arts, and they are also the driving force behind the Artist Market, which is down at Phoenix Park here in Eau Claire. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all right, so I am trying to start in the start, which is Tangled Up in Hue has kind of been this staple in Eau Claire before, like Eau Claire I think even became the art community that it is now. So how did you guys even think to start that, and what inspired that?
Yeah, so we will be in business 10 years as February coming up 2019. So it has been a long road. Actually, so Jamie and I met when we were young, and when I was starting college, she actually hired me to work for her out at Oakwood Mall at the kiosk. She had a little jewelry kiosk where we handmade items.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was really fun. That's how we met. And ultimately, she ended up buying that business, and I went to grad school down in Tucson, Arizona. And while I was down there, my mother got sick with cancer for the third time, and I felt that being that far away was a bad idea. So I wanted to come back to Eau Claire, and I knew I needed a plan. Well, while I was down in Tucson, I was incredibly inspired by local business and how they integrated public art and local art into every single mom and pop shop down there. I mean, the garbage cans were art, the bike racks were art, everything. Even like automotive shops would have local art hanging on the walls, and it was so inspiring. So when I came back to Eau Claire, I ended up buying the business from Jamie so she could go to school. And
the mall wasn't the best place to be.
Yeah. And I kind of had plans to move downtown and open this small art collective. And while I was doing that, Jamie, I was actually tutoring her in English. And one day I was overwhelmed with the amount of responsibility that came with running a business. And I said, hey, do you want to go in on this with me? And she said, let me call my husband. And literally 2 minutes later, she's like, yeah. She's a really great partner. So yeah, within 2 months from that moment, we ended up finding a space downtown and opened our doors in February of 2009. But that was definitely before the downtown revitalization.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a ghost town downtown.
Yeah.
But we
But we were committed to getting a space downtown because we knew that one day it would turn around.
Yeah, and would become
Yeah.
what's happening now.
Yeah.
And you're both artists then, is that? I was wondering
I
that.
feel a little uncomfortable with that term just because I'm a maker.
Yeah, we're makers,
Yeah.
crafters, makers,
Yeah.
and then we of course cross over to the art world completely. But that's how we start. We both just
We make things.
made
We're
things our
crafty
entire
people.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we turned that into a business and then made a ton of connections in the art community. And so,
Yeah, because I mean, when I was looking at the site, I know Tangled Up in Hue has over 100 artists featured.
yeah, it's anywhere from 150 to 200 local artists at any given time. And then we as a staff, Tangled Up in Hue, make probably like 40% of the products you see there, we design and implement ourselves.
Really? Like the cool signs and stuff like that?
we do that. We do
Jewelry, apparel, candles.
Who makes those cards with the swear words on them?
that would be Tangled Up in Hue.
Really? Those are I love those. All right, so when you started, how long did it take you from you having your stuff to going, hey, we should have other people involved in that? How did you
Right
even
from the
know
start.
to make?
Yeah.
Really?
That was
Okay.
part of the initial business plan, was to get a community of artists who were interested. We knew that this type of shop had existed in Eau Claire and it always was quick to close.
Yeah.
It's a hard business to
Yes.
move forward in, but we had some artist friends who were interested. So we started with 13 artists when we first opened. And then quickly, as soon as the word got out, artists started approaching us to have space. And so now we
that's
have
awesome.
a full-on process of how to apply and waiting lists and things. So
Yeah, we don't do a lot of outreach ourselves anymore, trying to find people to get in the shop.
I mean,
People
that's like
find us.
that's like the ideal thing, right?
it's great. Yes.
So when you started, I mean, I'm wondering how many small businesses when you first started this were female powered? Were you aware of that when you started? Like, wow, we're doing this and we're young women doing this.
I went to school, my grad program was in women's studies, so I was aware of just, the need for women to be able to start getting into positions that maybe they hadn't held before.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Jamie and I we are doers, and we are, I don't think that crossed our mind when we, came together as business partners as something that would actually be a driving force behind the business, or I guess a huge part of what makes us so successful. But we've certainly seen, since we've grown as a business, how that comes into play, and the importance of showing other women how this empowerment can be, shared and passed along.
Well, and you were young business owners too,
Yeah,
right?
we were really young.
23.
That's crazy.
We're cute.
Yeah. Well, you're still cute.
We just feel old.
So when you started, did you feel like, I know when I talk to people who are younger running in politics, there's like this weird barrier of age where people have a hard time taking you seriously just because you've got youth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
Like works
absolutely
against
happened
you
to
and
us.
for you at the same time. Did you feel that at all?
Oh yeah.
Right from the get-go, we
We had experience trying to get into the space that we were in. There was some apprehension about even allowing us to rent there. And then once we did sign the lease, we weren't allowed to change anything with the space.
Which is
we
not
were allowed to
typical.
make some changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Well, it's
really
not typical
interesting.
of a commercial lease to say that the renters can't make changes that are appropriate for the
Right.
business.
Yeah.
And it was a restaurant before we had moved in there, and we were told we had to keep like the grapevines on the walls, or we couldn't get a new furnace because we had a swamp cooler in there. And there was just weird things. But yeah, we were
Our
almost,
landlord was like, well, what if another restaurant wants to come in here? And we're like, but we're the one paying the
Right.
rent.
Yeah,
right
like why are
now.
you already thinking
well, and
of this?
additionally to the point where it was like, what if one of you just decides to move to New York?
Yeah, just because you're young and like carefree.
Yeah.
It was a strange interaction, and we stuck by our guns and got the space that we wanted, and were able to make changes as we had to prove ourselves. But it served us well, because growing through that experience, now with our expansion and a new lease in the space with Blue Boxer, we've learned how to take control of those situations and just be prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, and clearly you've been able to make a go of it, like super successfly.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, I love your store.
Good.
And the artist market, when did that start? And like whose idea was that?
Yeah, so we're in our 7th year. It was actually the idea of all the artists that we worked with. I mean, we had been invited to go down to the farmers market and participate as an artist, but it was very limited. You were allowed, I believe it was 2
weekends throughout the whole season that one artist could showcase their work. And we found that while we were there selling our products, people would be like, oh, well, we'll see you next weekend. And we were like, no. We might be here one more time and that's it. So, and people were kind of taken back by that. Like, really? Why? And we didn't have an answer for them. So we were like, okay, there's a need for this. People want to see artists down here as well as food vendors.
Yeah.
So
so we kind of just, we petitioned people, our patrons, customers, other artists, if they'd be interested. We found out that there was an absolute need. We took it to the city, and we were met again with a lot of just kind of barriers, I feel like, to prove that this would be a successful event or the right event, because it was all kind of around the time that Phoenix Park was developing too. And I think obviously we've done that. And now we have a great partnership with the farmers market. And going on 7 seasons, and a lot of our artists that do the artist market are brand new to selling their product and marketing it. And so it's a really great opportunity for them to learn. And then we've seen a lot of them kind of grow in that profession, and now they're selling either at our store or on their own. So it's really a great grassroots way to start to get your art out there.
Yeah. And so Blue Boxer, did you have the idea, like, we would like to make a space where people can actually make the art versus just buying?
we had kind of thought about that for years. People would come into Tangled and they would watch us making things and ask if we
I remember
taught
coming in and
classes.
seeing you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we just did not have the space at the time, and we were so busy that we didn't know that we could devote the time to teaching classes. But when we moved Tangled Up and Hue to its new location, we were actually still in a lease in the old Tangled space. So that's kind of how the conversation started of like, well, maybe now's the time to start a new business.
So we did it.
So we've now kind of changed roles a little bit. Erin is spending most of her time at Tangled, and I'm spending most of my time at Blue Boxer. And so now we're kind of doing both.
Yeah.
Okay, and real quick, if you have to pick, and I know this is like really mean to do to you guys, like if you have to pick one cause that you have felt like you are able to use your business as a channel for, like what's the one like event or just like an overall cause that you felt like has been like the best fit, or like for you personally has been your favorite?
Yeah. So, well, there's two things. We once with the expansion of Tangled, we felt like to do more, and so we came up with we call it the Just Give campaign. And so every quarter we choose or are approached by other businesses, organizations, charities, and we partner with them to host an event and raise money and awareness about their cause. So in that, we've worked with Planned Parenthood, National Alliance for Mental Illness, just to name a few, the Humane Society, things like that. And it's been really great because it allows us to meet with these other amazing community members that are doing just such wonderful things, to learn about the cause and then see how the community responds to that and supports that. So that's been a new thing that we've been doing in the new space and plan to continue. The other thing I think, especially when related to women, we've really tried to grow the idea of mentoring young women. So we have started hiring some younger women, high school students, and kind of showing them how things are run in a female business and how we've been able to make these strides with what we've done. And I feel really proud about that because I can see them kind of growing in their empowerment and their confidence. But then just recently, and Jamie's going to be working independently with two younger girls. We actually have a 9-year-old, Presley, who was so inspired by Tangled Up in Hue that she wants to start her own art business. She convinced her parents to homeschool her so she can work on a business plan. And so she's actually going to be spending time with Jamie at Blue Boxer this fall as part of her education to help out and learn about running a business. So that's something that she'll be working closely on. And then we also have another a younger, I think she's 11, who basically the same thing, just really wants to be invested in art and business. And so she will be working with Jamie occasionally to kind of grow that interest and see where it goes.
Well, I feel like I should get to have double time because there's two of you, but I don't. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me. I love learning all of this stuff. The programs are awesome. I'm Jodie Arnold. This is Wiswomen. See you next time.